Hi, Tanna Marshall here with your Feel Good Friday message. Today I want to talk to you about surviving being a caregiver. So if you are a caregiver or you know someone who is, you probably have an inkling of what this situation is like. And if you don't, and you've been watching my videos for a while, you probably got a little bit of an idea from me talking about it. But it's a pretty big task, and especially for people who are in that sandwich generation where they're taking care of kids and an elderly loved one, usually a parent. So fortunately, I've just got my mom, no sandwich here. But it's an increasingly daunting task. And fortunately, I wasn't just thrown into it. I have been living with my mom since my dad died 14 years ago. When he was dying, he asked me to move in and help take care of her, which I did. And she didn't require that much care, but it's gradually grown over the years. So I've been able to slowly adapt to whatever we needed to do for her care or changes in our schedule. But in the last 6 years, which is I've been caring for her full time for about the last 6 years. And it just seems like there's always continual change in the schedule, in the routine, because of where she is in her cognitive abilities and her physical abilities. There's just always something new that I'm implementing. And then there's changes in the people that are helping me. I've had different people helping me over the years. My nieces were helping for a really long time. One of my best friends, Anne, was helping for a long time because she's also a caregiver. And I've recently, in the last year, had to change all of that because my one niece had a baby. So she's now a caregiver in her own right. And my other niece got a job where she has to work on the weekends when she would normally be here. And my friend Anne moved away, so she's got a great new life, but I miss her. And it's just so nice having all of that care. But fortunately, we have found a great caregiver. Excuse me. Her name is Fresh, and I just love her. She's like my lifesaver. So that's my situation, and I'm kind of used to adapting to the situation, whatever it is. Whenever it changes, I'm kind of like, all right, more changes, got to figure it out this time. But if you are in this situation and you are feeling completely overwhelmed and unable to deal with this and feeling like, oh my God, how am I going to do this? All I'm going to tell you is God bless you for doing it. And all you can do is your best. That's all you can do. That's all any of us can do. But more importantly, you really have to take care of yourself. The self-care is so important. And I've talked about it in the past, and I do my best to take care of myself in this situation, but I haven't taken it as seriously as I should have probably over the years. I mean, I do. I mean, I teach my clients self-care as well. And I'm really on other people like, oh, you should be taking care of yourself. Are you getting enough rest? Are you doing this? Are you having fun? And I try to make sure that I do that too. But I'm really realizing recently how important it is because this is a 24/7 job. I don't really get a break. And even so, I still, 9 years after being laid off from my corporate job, I still have a little bit of that corporate mentality, which really wasn't that present until the last few years on my job, where there was just this, you got to work all the time, you got to be busy all the time, you got to come in early, you got to work late and be productive. And if you're not, you're being lazy and unproductive. And that's not the case. And in my situation, I'm finding that I have to rest whenever I can because my life is watching for mom, listening for mom. I sleep with, she's not in bed right now, but this little thing is with me everywhere. I have to watch for her. I have to listen for her. So this is my life right here. Little baby monitor. So my brother actually is the one that's been pointing it out because my mom's health kind of went down, not down the tubes, but it went downhill a little bit after spending 2 years taking care of my dad when his health was all over the place. And I know he's concerned about my health going downhill as well. And I'm doing my best to take care of myself because I want to be able to have a healthy, happy, full life after my mom is gone, which I refer to as later. And a lot of people don't like to talk about that. But you know what? It's inevitable. And I think it's important to be prepared on all levels from whatever they want as far as arrangements after they're gone to what are you going to do with your life? And I think this is something that a lot of caregivers don't think about. And so if you are devoted to somebody else's life right now, I want you to just spend some time daydreaming like, what do I want to do when I'm able to do whatever I want anymore, when I have the time, when I have the ability, when I have the freedom, because there you can tend to feel kind of isolated and trapped a little bit in this situation. And I'm trying to do the best I can. I see friends when I can. Unfortunately, they have to come close to me because I can't be gone very long, or else I have to hire the caregiver. And I'm trying to watch our budget. So, and I don't even get to spend full weekends with my husband anymore. I used to spend Friday to Sunday with him, but because of the lack of help and also our budget, there's only so much in the budget for the caregiver, which, like I said, she's great, but I don't even get to spend any weekend nights with my husband anymore. We might go out on a date, but I come home. He brings me home and I have to spend the night at my house. So he's been incredibly understanding. And I'm so grateful for him. He is the most amazing man in the world. But I came up with a plan that is working for me. And I had to enlist my family. I'm kind of juggling them with the caregiver in between. So I'm finding what works for me. So I have one weekend a month where I go away. And I have my brother and his wife spending one night. My other niece, who's able to spend a Sunday night here, she stays on Sunday nights. We adjust our weekends from Friday to Sunday to Saturday to Monday. So it works. We're able to get away. I just got back from our very first weekend away since implementing this new schedule, and I feel a little bit better. So I'm hoping that it'll work, because I don't want my health to go downhill, but I also want to be careful with our budget and make sure that I'm being smart with our money and making sure that we have enough for everything that we need and that mom's needs are taken care of, that I'm able to put money away. And because, that's also part of preparing for later for me financially. So there's so many aspects to being a caregiver, and I could go on and on and on, but I don't want to bore you, especially if this isn't your thing. But watch this anyway, because you never know if you might be put in this situation. And I just don't want you to be scared. I don't want it to seem like a scary, daunting thing, because it's really an honor to be responsible for someone else's life. Any parents out there know you're responsible for keeping your kids alive. And you may not think of it that way, but that's really what you're doing. You're making sure that all of their needs are met, from food to exercise to a home and clothing and education and knowledge about life. This is just a different aspect of that. It's the different end of the life spectrum. So you're just making sure that someone's needs are met, food, clothing, cleanliness, company, a little emotional, mental stimulation. Social is great. My mom doesn't go to daycare anymore, but she went to senior daycare for like 6 years. So there's a lot to consider, but it is a job, and you've got to honor yourself for doing that job and doing the best that you can. And I know that I'm doing the best I can, but you have to make sure that you're taking care of yourself. So what do you need to feel cared for? What can you do for yourself? Because sometimes, as I said, you're a little isolated from the outside world. You can't go do all the things that maybe you used to do that made you feel fulfilled, mentally, emotionally, physically, socially. So maybe you're on the internet looking for support, and maybe you found me that way. And if I can provide you with support and let you know that I'm here for you, I'm in the same boat, you're not alone, then I'm happy to do that, because a lot of people can't always get out to a support group. There are some great caregiving support groups out there. I used to go to one, but I can't even get away that long to do that anymore. So I just get my support online from seeing friends, from my family when I need it. And just, you got to be willing to ask for help too. Anybody who's around, willing and able to give you some help, please don't be afraid to call on people, because your health is so important. If you completely deplete yourself caring for somebody else, you will have nothing to give to them or to the other people in your life or to yourself later. That's really, really important. I think a lot of people lose themselves, and they get so involved in this role of caregiving and focusing on this one person, because sometimes you just don't have the ability or the energy to focus on anything else. And I totally understand that. But you want to make sure that you save a portion of your energy for yourself, even if it's just daydreaming about, what do I want to do later? Maybe you want to travel somewhere. Maybe you want to join some groups. Maybe you want to start a new career. I'm kind of going to have to kickstart my life after my mom is gone, because I realized a few years ago I couldn't build my business the way I wanted to while caring for her. One or the other needed the majority of my attention. So she gets about 95% of me, and then about 5% is given to my business. I have a few clients and I do these videos for you, and that makes me feel fulfilled, and it makes me feel like, okay, I'm doing something that is contributing and hopefully being a positive influence and providing some service and some value to people in the world, which is what I want to do. So that gives me a sense of fulfillment to a certain degree. And I'll do more of it later. I'll expand on it later. But that's how I keep myself. So, what parts of you have you possibly lost being a caregiver? And it's time to reclaim those parts, my friend. Who are you outside of being a caregiver? It's a really important question. If you identify with only one aspect of your life, one role, if you're in my boat, it would be like a daughter, a caregiver. If it's just that, you got to expand it. What else? What else do you want to be? How do you want to identify yourself? And maybe there is a career that you're not able to do right now, but you know what? Write it down and make some plans. Is there some education that you want to get later? Is there something that you can do now online while you're in the role of caregiver? There are so many options for you. But again, you have to be respectful of your energy level. And if you're just like, oh my God, I can't even think about that. I get it. I understand. There are times when people say, hey, let's do this, or why don't you do that? And I'm like, no, I'm too tired. I can't think. There's no room left up here for anything else. Because again, there are ups and downs with the whole caregiving too. There are good days and bad days. And sometimes someone's going to take so much of your energy depending on what's happened during the day. Like if we've had a difficult shower situation, or if mom has fallen, or she's just been difficult and tired and weak, and it's been mentally, emotionally, and physically taxing on me, I can't even think about anything else. So you just have to play it day by day. How do you feel? What can you contribute to yourself while you're taking care of this other person? So maybe you can figure out what your percentage rate is. How much percentage of yourself are you giving to this other person? And what percentage can you spare for yourself? And to set some goals and make some plans for your future, because it's really, really important. You want to remember who you are and who you want to be, because that person's in there. And you can be that person to a certain degree now, even if it's just in your own mind, in your own little world, in your home, where you're in this role right now. But please, please make the time to take care of yourself and figure out what that means for you. I mean, I could rattle off a whole bunch of things. Make sure you meditate and work out. And blah, blah, blah. I do yoga and I set intentions every day. I like to sit outside and connect with nature every day. That might not be your thing. Figure out what your thing is and make sure that you're doing it for yourself on a regular basis. And that is non-negotiable. You got to have those things that are for your well-being and something that makes you feel fulfilled. And again, I know that's hard sometimes in this situation, but maybe the caregiving makes you feel fulfilled and you acknowledge the huge job that you're doing, that you're making a difference in someone's life. Acknowledge yourself for that, regardless of how fulfilled you are or not by that, because you might be like, fulfilled, I'm trapped and my life is on hold. And believe me, I get all of it. I get every aspect of that. I just want to make sure you're taking care of you, you're making time for yourself, and you're also daydreaming about what you want to do later. So these are all crucial elements to surviving as a caregiver, especially if you are in it 24/7. If you're living with somebody and your whole life is about taking care of somebody, and this applies to parents too. It's just that being a caregiver to somebody who's elderly, it's like, as I said, at the opposite end of the spectrum, kids are going to grow up and become self-sufficient. When you're caring for somebody elderly, there's usually a slow decline, and the end is the end, and you don't know when that's going to be, and you have to prepare for it and constantly keep changing and adjusting to it. So it's kind of a weird situation, but but we can handle it. We can deal with it. We will survive. I've got Gloria Gaynor going through my head. I will survive. So you will survive. We'll survive together. I'm here for you. I've got some other videos on caregiving if that would help you. So please just make sure you're taking care of yourself. And if you spend time with me every week, I want to thank you, regardless of what your situation is. If it's helping you in whatever situation that you are in, that makes me so happy. That makes me fulfilled. So I want to thank you for joining me here again. And if you haven't already, remember to subscribe to my channel. Leave your comments below. I'd love to know what's going on in your life. And I love reading them. And if you want to be on the mailing list and receive these videos before anybody else every Friday and have them delivered straight to your inbox, jump over to my website, tannamarshall.com. get on the mailing list, and I'll send you a special note every Friday. So I just want to thank you for joining me. And if you needed this message today, just know I'm here for you. I get it. I understand. I'm here for you. And we will support each other on this journey until we get our lives back. But for now, do what you can to take care of yourself and make sure you do have a little bit of your own life. Prepare for later, and just take any of these tools and make sure that you use them so that you can be the best that you can be now, so that you don't lose yourself while you're taking care of someone else. Take care. Please take care. See you next time. Take care.